Life can really suck sometimes. And when we are going through a difficult chapter in life, we can sometimes feel desperate for the pain to go away. It's not necessarily that we want to die, it's that we just want the pain to stop. In this short video, I hope to encourage you to see a path forward. No matter how difficult your circumstances are today and how painful the emotions are, it's not worth dying over. I hope to show you a road in which you can be patient with your own healing, to see yourself at the other end of this crisis, coming through this and ending up more resilient and happy and grateful to be alive and savor this gift of consciousness. Welcome to Root Cause of Happiness. I'm Dr. Sarah Bryn Morrow, licensed psychologist, therapeutic yoga teacher, and optimal wellness educator. I teach the physiology of mental health and the skills that empower resilience. Join me as we explore the many pieces of the puzzle to deep healing at the root cause of happiness. It's hard to believe, but almost everybody has at least a moment in life where they contemplate suicide, where they are in such pain and so overwhelmed with the emotions that they just want the pain to stop. Almost everybody goes through a chapter like this, and it's nothing to be ashamed of or to feel the need to keep secret. The more that we can talk about our pain, the more other people can be there to help us through it. There's an ancient saying from the Tibetan Proverbs of whatever you do not try to escape from your pain, but be with it. When we are in pain, we have an impulsive desire, almost a desperation, to find a way to get the pain to stop. This is our survival wiring. Of course, if we're touching a hot flame, we want to pull away and we want to get away from the source that's causing us pain. But emotional pain isn't like that. There's no way to pull away from emotional pain. All we can do is distract or numb, neither of which tend to resolve the issue. So be with your pain. That means to honor the pain that you're living with, to explore the emotion with curiosity, to bring a loving kindness, your own self-nurturing, self-soothing, knowing that you perhaps are the one that can best be there for you as you get through this crisis. There's a sense that we can step aside and look at our emotional difficulties, our trauma, the symptoms that we're going through, and bring some loving compassion towards our own experience. I think for me to talk about suicide, it's helpful for me to share my own story. For me, I was a very anxious child who had a fear of not being good enough, a fear of disappointing others or being rejected. And I reacted to those anxieties by trying to be perfect, by trying to please everyone all the time. And when you have anxiety, and you don't even know you have it, and you have no words for it and no coping skills, what happens is anxiety begins to wear you down and tire you out. And we reach a point of total exhaustion and shutdown. So for me, as I white-knuckled it through childhood and seemingly from the outside view was doing very well in life, I was burning myself out and depleting myself of energy. Then when I started high school and faced a whole new level of social stressors, I didn't have the energy, the resilience, or coping skills to know how to manage such overwhelming stressors. By the time I was 15, I was sinking further and further into depression. And I reached a point where I just hoped I would die because I was so tired and so sad and overwhelmed. And I didn't know how to get through it. I didn't know what I was supposed to do or if I could even feel better or if things would ever change. And I was in this place of darkness and hopelessness, but very much alone in my struggle. Somehow, I was able to work myself out of that over time. And I decided to pursue a path in helping children who are suffering and helping teenagers who are depressed. And I see now, looking back, that as a 15-year-old, what I really needed was somebody to lean on, somebody who I could be vulnerable with and really admit to them that I wasn't okay and I needed help, that I didn't know how to figure it out by myself. If I could go back and advise my 15-year-old depressed self, I would tell her, just be patient. Be patient. No matter how bad today feels, day by day, week by week, you're going to get through this. Inherently, everything changes. As time passes, change unfolds continually. So the sources of stress I felt at that time changed. The social issues I was dealing with ended. The people who were a bother then are no longer in my life. And I've slowly built a family of choice, a community of people where I can be authentic and vulnerable and reach out for support when needed. But I really felt that I was broken at that time and that there wasn't any hope for me getting my broken pieces healed back together into wholeness. So I wish I could just tell her, Sarah, you're 15, be patient, be kind to yourself. You are good enough. It's just a hard chapter. See the long-term view. See yourself into adulthood, high school just over and not important anymore. The people who were such a worry no longer in your life. And that you have much more control, more choice to create a life for yourself that is healthy and meaningful. But at the time, I couldn't see that. At the time when I was in such darkness and such pain, it's as if I could only see what was right in front of me. Like you're in a dark tunnel with maybe a headlamp and you can just barely see what's right in front of you and you can't see the long term. It's hard to envision that life could be different and that this pain could in fact resolve on its own. For me, I ended up having to make a very dramatic decision and I left high school. So I kind of dragged myself to the finish line of 10th grade. I was in a very high risk time and I was very fortunate that my parents supported me leaving high school, working and pursuing going to college early. And I look back with incredible gratitude to my parents and knowing that for me, changing the environment probably saved my life. Now, it's not always an option to change our environment, or at least not quickly. We often have to be patient and endure until change is possible. But even if you are, say, a freshman in high school and graduation seems impossibly far away, it's so important to know that no matter what you do, even if you just trudge through each day, you will reach that finish line. You will reach a point in which you can walk out of that environment and start to have more control to create the life you want for yourself. So one thing to know if you are dealing with suicidal thoughts and feelings is that you can't escape your pain. And the more you try to escape your pain, the worse it will probably get. So really try to avoid numbing through substance use. Know that you're at risk to put yourself on a path of addiction if you do that. And instead try to do the opposite of numbing or self-destructive behavior, and instead try really hard to take care of your actual physical body. So one thing we can do when we're in a crisis is pause, just truly put everything down, step away, go be alone for a minute, perhaps get out a piece of paper or your journal, and do an honest self-assessment. The very first thing I recommend you start with if you're in crisis is, have I had any water to drink in the last several hours? Dehydration can derail us. So at the very least, commit to drinking more water, and in that very moment, have a nice big glass of water and hydrate your body. Have you eaten today? And have you eaten anything of nutritional substance? So have you had any vegetables, nuts or seeds, beans, fruits? Eat some plant nutrients and give yourself some healthy fats and protein. Maybe make a smoothie. And if you're curious how I make a therapeutic medicinal smoothie, reference my last lecture on smoothies that have antidepressant properties. And I have a little video with a bunch of ingredients you might consider. If nothing else, can you eat a banana, an apple, a handful of almonds, just something easy? If you're out and about, can you opt to buy a salad and just have some vegetables and start there? And try to avoid sugar, caffeine, and alcohol, all of those just pushing you further into instability. So nourish your body and hydrate your body. Have you moved at all today, or have you been sedentary? How much have you been moving your body lately? At least go for a walk. Go for a quick walk if you can, and hold your heart lifted, your eyes on the horizon, walk at a quick pace, and synchronize your breath with movement. We can feel dramatically better after a 15-minute intentional walk than just sitting indoors in our thoughts, stuck in our misery. And so give yourself that few minutes to go outside and have a nice walk and intentionally breathe and try to quiet the thinking mind. Try to give yourself permission to let go of the stream of negative thoughts going through the mind and just be in your body and anchor to breath. Anchor to noticing breath flowing in, breath flowing out as you're walking and synchronizing breath and movement. Have you listened to any music today? Music is medicine, and especially music that shifts your energy towards a little bit of a positive, rhythmic, energetic vibe. And so try to avoid music that's really depressing. So if you're going through a breakup and you're depressed, don't listen to breakup songs. That is not helpful. There might be a moment for that where you really need to grieve and cry and feel, and that's okay, but don't get stuck there. Make yourself choose the music that you enjoy on a good day when you're in a good mood, that has rhythm and energy that feels good to your body and will help shift you out of that dark place. Have you seen another person today? If not, call a friend. If you really don't have a friend who you think can be there for you, there are free 24-hour suicide hotlines available. There is always somebody there who cares, who will pick up the phone and support you through your darkness. Now, you might need ongoing support, in which case therapy is a really good thing to consider. You don't have to do this alone. When I was a teenager and struggling, my mom wanted me to go to therapy, and I very stubbornly refused. I didn't feel safe being vulnerable and opening up to anybody. But that was in the 1990s, and I never heard of anybody who went to mental health therapy. Things are really different now. There's a lot less stigma, a lot less shame, and more help available. Even if you live in a rural place, you can get help now through websites that offer telehealth services. So there's always help available if we can just reach out and tell somebody, I'm not okay, can I just talk and you listen and be there for me? Sometimes just having someone hold witness for us when we're in pain is really healing. So call a friend versus text. If you can, try to get together. If you're willing, go on a walk together. And allow yourself to be vulnerable. You don't have to go into all the details and you don't have to share everything that's personal, but you should be willing to give yourself the gift of telling another person, I'm really hurting right now and I'm struggling to be okay. And just have somebody be there for you in that witnessing of your pain. So whatever you do, do not try to escape from your pain, but be with it. You can also journal. Journaling can be a helpful way to clear your mind of all the negative and really kind of unleash on paper. And then be sure when you journal to end your entry with a plan of action and hope and optimism. No matter how awful today feels, this too shall pass. This chapter is tough, but it won't be like this forever. No matter how overwhelmed I am, I know that even if I do nothing, things will change over time. I just have to be patient, get through one day at a time, and have this vision, this intention of coming through this and being okay down the road. So these are things we can do for ourselves to get through that acute, really difficult moment of darkness. Other things that you might ask yourself are if you have slept. So if you are under-rested, fatigue is a huge factor in suicidal ideation and depressed mood. And so be sure if you haven't been getting enough rest, go to bed if it's in the evening. Give yourself a good long stretch for sleeping. And you might find that just one good night's sleep helps you feel a really different perspective on whether or not you can handle the stressors and issues in front of you. So often, sometimes the best thing we can do is give ourselves a good long rest and try to see how we feel after we've caught up on some sleep. Also, have you bathed? Have you gotten dressed? Have you, tried it all to take care of just your basic hygiene, brushed your teeth? These things can sound really effortful and really difficult when you're struggling. But if you can just commit to a tiny step forward, a little bit of self-care, you might find that it gives you a little boost, and then you have a bit more energy to do something else positive for yourself. So these are simple things we can check in on ourselves when we're in a crisis to be strategic and get through. But one thing I would really just encourage you to consider is that impermanence is the truth of reality. And no matter what you do, suffering might be part of your life story. In fact, it will be occasionally part of your life experiences. All beings suffer some of the time. We go through painful experiences, and depressed moods are part of human experience. But we can on purpose keep learning more, changing our lifestyle, building skills and tools and techniques, and move ourselves towards ever-increasing resilience and improving our mental health over time. Very often, if we are feeling suicidal and hopeless, it's a result of just an acute chapter of stress overload. And these things will change, and the people in our lives will change. And no matter what we do, we will reach a point in which we are facing the end of our life. If you talk to really old people who were lucky enough to have a full life experience, see that full spectrum into old age, they will almost all tell you that the most important thing along the way was to give and receive love, to play and have fun, to give yourself permission to lighten up and free your mind of dwelling on problems in the world that you can't change, things that are just out of our hands. And that if they could go back and do it again, they would try to find more love, more service, be more generous, have more meaningful activities, and to get over things like if they're good enough, pretty enough, smart enough, rich enough, accomplished enough, and to realize that just who they are, their deepest, truest self, is enough. That their inherent value is in who they are and how they love, and nothing to do with these superficial things that we tend to worry about and judge ourselves as not being good enough or worthy. So I hope this is a helpful little tidbit. And please just know that even though life can be very painful at times, that pain will change. It will not stay consistent. It will ebb and flow, crest and recede, and increase and decrease over time. And the more we're learning and building skill and being intentional and taking care of our body, the more we can shift our emotional patterns towards feeling better over time. But right now, if you are in crisis, stop whatever you're doing. Come into your body and bring some awareness. Allow yourself a full deep breath and a nice sigh on exhale, this physiological sigh of expanding the inhale and sighing on exhale will help calm the nerves. What do you need? Water, food, sleep, movement, social connection, music, maybe something that'll make you smile or laugh, like a funny video or movie, music that has beautiful rhythm that feels good to your body. What do you need right now to just take care of yourself? And even though things might kind of suck, and some moments are very painful, know that life is worth living. Stay faithful and hopeful that you can move through this and see yourself down the road, beyond this crisis, looking back and actually seeing how it helped you learn and grow and become more resilient. You can do this. You can get through it. You're gonna be okay. Thank you for joining me at Root Cause of Happiness. If this information was useful to you, please share it with others seeking knowledge and tools for resilience. It is a meaningful contribution to the world when we become proactive in our healing journeys, by learning and growing, by increasing our awareness, by addressing the root cause of happiness.